Yeah, I never really checked into this Adam Kokesh guy before, but because I really don't pay attention to a lot of the drama garbage that goes on. It's a simple thing, You have Bill of Rights, civil rights. That's what America's really about. That's why we have freedoms. Those Bill of Rights, you can almost think of them as your 10 Commandments. I'll stick with that like a religion. And it's not that the Bill of Rights grants me rights. I have these rights, but it protects my rights. I understand that. But, you know, just look, I'm going to point to a link on a YouTube video that seemed to be pretty unpopular. It was about Adam Kokesh being interviewed, and they're asking him how much he was being paid by Russia Today for his show. But, when I looked at this interview, I said, no way. This guy is bullshit. I don't trust him for nothing. He rubs me wrong all the way. I'll just say that. My senses are going like wang all the way. This guy, he's not legit. And, but I'm going to state this, just I want to drive this point, basically. It's not very well known, but I don't know how many people have ever heard of former KGB Major Anatoly Golitsyn. He defected in 1961. It's kind of like one of those things you might call with the right-wing conspiracy theorists, the anti-Russian people, whatever. Sometimes they group it all into that one. But the guy's been accurate over the years as to what the overall strategies are. And basically, one thing he's like two books, if you want to look into him, like what he predicted, different things. Not just understanding long-range Russian strategy. One book was printed in 1984 called New Lies for Old, but basically the contents of that book were from the 70s up to 1980s. And he told about the forthcoming dissolution of the Soviet Union, glasnost, perestroika, reunification of the Germanys, all that stuff was in there. He predicted a lot of stuff accurately, not using astrology or anything like that. It was just off of what he says the long-range plans are. The other book I think came out in 1995. It's called The Perestroika Deception. And, I read a number of his articles, actually. And another thing, also by Christopher Stories in a UK intelligence, United Kingdom intelligence. There was a lot of stories I read, information from him. And it was also the Polish ambassador from Japan. He defected, I believe, in the 80s. Zedzisław Ruaras, a lot of things that were going on in the inside with solidarity with Lech Walesa when they had the communists were basically ousted from Poland. It's all a ruse. It always has been. Even when they set up the Gorbachev USA Foundation, that property was given to them. It was actually called the Presidio. It was a very old naval facility going back even when it's Spanish, owned California. It's very old. And before it was called Gorbachev USA, they actually gave it to him before he actually descended and he stepped down in power. He stepped down from being, the president of Russia. So it's like the coordination between the East and West and the dissolution of the Soviet Union was there's an overall plan. I want to drive this one thing home because it's taken a hell of a long time though for all this crap to come about. But what Major Anatoly Golitsyn says, there's going to be a financial collapse in the West. And what's going to come about from that is basically a hybrid type of communism, capitalism. They're going to introduce a type of communism with a more human face. And, so people accept it after this financial collapse. So, we're talking about this financial collapse is coming up. That's why you should buy gold and silver and all this kind of garbage. But this actually is planned. It's almost like it's not. I think it is planned. I think it's legit that it's planned. And a lot of times when you're seeing anything on Russia Today, I know some of it's not like it's totally inaccurate, but it's only designed to bring out dirt on the Western governments, period. That's all it's about. It's not designed to bring out any kind of dirt about human rights abuses in Russia or what Putin's doing or anybody else and the regime over there is doing. Actually, right now, it should be pretty obvious to people that Putin is pretty much a damn dictator. If you've been elected, you've been in power all this time. Something wrong with this situation. Czar Putin. But what's going to come about is there's going to be a financial collapse in the West. And, sometimes you'll see, like, predictions, like, I think it was former KGB General Panarin of Russia. He was saying that 2010 was going to be a time of collapse. And, it was a little bit like, it was a big rumor on the internet, because that was after we had the financial collapse in 2008, 2009. And then 2010 would see the division of America into several parts. Like one part would be controlled by Canada, one part would be controlled by Mexico, one would be by Japan, one by China, and one by Europe. Didn't happen, but that's... Russia today basically is a foreign government that's attempting to provide as much dissent in the United States to freaking divide it up. They're not here to do you any kind of favor, period. None at all. Not at all. Anybody that, Abby Martin and all these other idiots that work for that show, I don't trust one damn one of them at all, period. Russia today is state propaganda by the Russian government. It's Putin propaganda. They're never going to say a damn thing against Putin, period, ever. And it's amazing that American people are buying it hook, line, and sinker, because they're so fed up and sick of the major media in the United States. But you're still getting a load of bullshit from Russia today. That's all it is. It's a bunch of garbage. So, but the long-range plan is this. And this is like the most important point I have to make. And everybody who is into gold and silver pretty much is fairly well convinced that there's going to be an economic collapse in the West. But what a lot of people don't realize is that, and they realize it's going to be some kind of global government, the New World Order, or the Old World Order taken over. I don't know if you would have called it, but taken over by a few. But basically, this is something that Major Anatoly Golitsyn talked about. That's the plans he understood. That they're expecting financial collapse in the West, and then it would introduce communism with a human face. Now, what it looks like with Putin, why he's not exactly playing ball with the West, but he's still a power-hungry asshole madman. Really, that's the way I'll put it. He's bad news. He's not exactly playing ball with the West all the time, but he's acting like he's a saint. He ain't. He's an evil bastard. He's just as screwed up as anybody on the Western side that people are all fed up with. Me, I'll tell you what. I'll side with our Western leaders over the bullshit coming out of Russia, because I know we still got a Bill of Rights in the United States. And we still got a lot more freedoms in the United States than they have in Russia. Could you imagine Adam Kokesh being employed by, say, a USA Today, being located in Moscow, Russia, and bringing up rabble-rousers to go march into, say, Moscow with arms that, we need to have our freedom now? Could you imagine even that talk being tolerated in Russia? That tells you exactly what the deal is about. Just put the coin the other way around. Just figure USA Today pays Adam Kokesh, and he's in Russia, and he's in Moscow, and he's doing the same type of thing. Well, I'm only worried about, or say it's Ivan Kokesh, let's make up another name, somebody else, a native-born Russian, it served in the military, or whatever, right? And USA Today is paying him, and, like currently I know Adam Kokesh is not on the payroll of Russia Today, but he was. This guy I don't trust at all. I think he's really... Now I haven't really dug into what it was about. But I do want to emphasize, though, Major Anatoly Golitsyn has stated years and years and years ago, the ultimate long-range plan basically is merging Russia with the Western nations, basically all into one big nation, one world government, one world monetary system, and everything. But what Major Galitzin says, he says the Western leaders are stupid. They don't even know what they're dealing with. They're going to get their throats cut and they're going to get stabbed in the back. That's his point. That's really how I understood what he was saying. And it's probably what's going to happen, too. They're stupid. Our Western leaders are dumb. Actually, the only people that could actually watch the back of the Western leaders are the people that are in the United States that are sticking up with the Bill of Rights. That's really what that's going to come down to. But it's actually a long-range plan that when there's a financial collapse in the West, this is according to Major Galitzin. It's amazing how accurate this guy's been. It takes years for the stuff to happen, but we're looking at I'm thinking there's going to be some financial problems in the Obama administration. It's going to be coming up in the next couple of years. It's not going to be that super far away anymore. We're seeing a final pullback in gold and silver, but it's going to be a lot more problems than just, gold and silver and your economic wealth. There's going to be a lot more stuff going on. He says when you see this final economic collapse, they're going to introduce into the West a hybrid type of communism with a human face. That's why one reason I really can't stand Russia today. They always play like, they really give a shit. They don't give a shit about nothing. That's just Putin propaganda all the way. Like I said, can you imagine a USA today being in Russia and paying people to say all these things against the Putin regime and it being tolerated? It wouldn't happen in a million years. So in that way, it tells you who the hell's got a lot more freedom going for it than, in Russia. Even though the system isn't perfect over here, the United States has a hell of a lot more freedom going for it than it does in Russia. No doubt about it. But it's amazing how many people. I haven't really looked at this Adam Kokesh guy too much, but just looking at some of his stuff, even the way he delivers his speeches and how just how I read him, it doesn't sit well with me at all. I don't buy a damn thing this guy's saying. I think there's no sincerity there at all. He's pumping up the audience. He's like Alex Jones, same kind of shit. I don't trust him at all, not even one bit. So I'm on the side of freedom and the Bill of Rights too. But I ain't trusting these guys. They ain't leading me around. No way in hell. So I want people to really wake up for real and stay chill. It's pretty simple. The Bill of Rights is pretty simple, ain't it? It's not that super complicated. That's our number one thing we got to stick with. Make sure the United Nations or no communist government with a human face gets introduced to take it away. That's one thing. That will be the line in the sand. The Bill of Rights. You don't mess with that. That's the number one thing that makes America what it is. And why it really is a free nation. Despite problems, it really is a free nation.